Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki and Brian are talking about the movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. It is episode 254, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. I am Zaki Hassan. I'm here with Brian Hall.
Hey, happy birthday, Zaki.
Thank you very much. We are up bright and early on my birthday to record this show because that's how much we care.
That is how much we care. And I am currently in New York.
We are bi-curious this morning.
Yes.
Bi-coastal this morning.
Bi-coastal. I'm bi-curious how you're feeling about me asking you to record so early because of the time zone difference.
I rolled out of bed at 8 a.m. as I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I got to do this, and I'm sitting here in my jammies, but it's nice and quiet. It's peaceful.
That sounds nice. No, seriously, it's doing a favor because I have another flight today, and there literally was only about a 2.5 hour window that I could record today, and so Zaki's like, all right, I'll get up early on my birthday.
Well, this is like my present to myself.
Oh, I agree. This is an early birthday gift for me because it's. I feel like we say this every time, but we always feel like, it's been a while and been itching to get back on the mic. And in this case, it's AirPods for me. So apologies if the sound's not so great, but
sounds good here. So
cool. But what any plans for today?
Well, I am going to see Avatar.
Oh, the re-release, right?
That's right. So I'm looking forward to that. And last time I saw that in the theater was opening weekend.
Wow. Okay.
And I've seen it once on home video in between, but other than that, not really. And I was like, IMAX 3D. I'm like, that's the way to watch this, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, I do want to get jazzed for the sequel. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, let's do this. I'm gonna go with my older three boys. The younger two kids are actually they have to go sell popcorn or whatever. So I'm like, all right, well, hey, let's go do this thing. So I'm actually very much looking forward to that.
That's cool. I can't wait to hear about it. If I were around, I was like, I would probably go check that out.
Are you excited for the sequel?
I am. Like, it's not like I'm anticipating, like a Star Wars film or something where I'm like, oh, I can't wait. But I'm going in with a positive attitude. It's James Cameron. I want it to be good. That's kind of my feeling.
And we've said this before, I'm never going to bet against James Cameron. Mm-hmm. So I'm also like, if this is a sequel, it took James Cameron 13 years to make.
Right.
Well, I don't doubt for 1 second there'll be something in there worth seeing. Yeah,
I even read this week that he chucked a whole draft because he's like, nope,
crazy.
That's not
he
it.
He said we lost a year.
Yeah.
Because wrote a script. He's an interesting cat, man. Because like on the one hand, you read what he has to say, and you're like, God, this guy is like insufferably smug, right?
Yes.
But like he's also right. So often.
Yep.
Like he talked about breaking it down. Like it needs to speak to you on this level and on this level and on this level, and it didn't hit on the third level or whatever it was. And I'm like, clearly the guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he even said something. He's like, the biggest critique people had about the first one was how predictable it was. He's like, this one, nobody will be able to say it's predictable.
Great.
So I'm like,
yeah.
He's
one of my favorite filmmakers. So it's like, I can't not be excited. Like, yeah, it's not the movie I would have chosen, but like, I still, I have those feelings of excitement for his work. So I think that's what makes me excited. I
agree. Yeah. So so the sequel comes out, I think, in December. I'm like, this is good. Let's do this.
Yeah.
But what else have you been watching?
Well, like I said, I've been traveling, but been catching some things on the plane, and
so you're like work traveling. You're like wherever you go, you're cranking out the stuff you need to do while you're on the go.
Yeah, it sounds like, that's kind of a bummer. It's not a vacation, but actually I was just telling Federica, like, this is kind of cool. I love being able to do this because, she has a job that she maintains out in New York that she mostly does remote, but she comes out here, to check in, touch base. And it's great because then I get to be out here and then I still do my meetings. I still do my work. I turned it in and it's just a different view out my window. So I love it.
Do you find it helps you creatively to mix things up a little bit?
I don't know. I if I'm just being honest, like I don't know that I notice a big difference, but I do enjoy the opportunity in the morning, like, oh, I'll go out and get coffee in somewhere completely different. You know? And actually there's this festival going on this weekend called the Global Citizen Festival, which is a charity to like
that
end
sounds
world
made
poverty.
up. That sounds like that sounds like the fund that George Costanza gives money to in people's name.
That's hilarious. No, I will be entirely honest and say I wasn't very familiar with it, but it's going on in Central Park, or it was yesterday, and they have this huge all day long concert thing going on. And while I was doing a Zoom call on Friday, I could hear them rehearsing from Central Park. It was really loud, and I was like,
wow.
Well, shoot. And so I looked up and I saw that Metallica was going to be there. And I was like, wow, like, well, if they're like rehearsing today, maybe we could go over and watch them rehearse. So I just, when work was done, I walked over to Central Park and sure enough, like, I sat there for a little while. I got a little cold, going to be honest, but Metallica came out and there's, maybe 100 people there just kind of watching and they ran through some songs. And I was like, oh, well, I don't get to go to the show, but I actually got to see the show anyway, maybe even in a better way.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that was like a cool, weird thing I didn't expect. And so like that stuff, that stuff's kind of fun, or even just getting to walk over to the park. But then, I look forward to going back too. And it's nice. I like the remote working for the time being.
Yeah. But hey, why not take advantage while you can, right?
Yeah. Well, and speaking of New York, and
look at this guy with the segue.
But we just started Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, it's a great show.
And, everybody had told me you're going to love this. I was like, I believe you. I really do. It's just,
I'm fairly certain I said this to you that when we watched it, Amina was like, Andy Samberg is like Brian in this show.
There's a couple points. If I had watched this maybe like 7 years ago, there would have been maybe too much overlap regarding like dentist visits and things like that. Thankfully, I've grown a bit. But yes, no, there's absolutely, I see that for sure in sort of the silliness and point of view. But I should say, we were looking for a new show because we had just wrapped something. And we watched a couple and we're like, yeah, no, it's funny. I get it. But then the more you get into it and the characters are just so perfectly defined and so funny and they bounce off each other so well that we love it. I mean, that's the show we're sort of gobbling up when we're like, hey, we got 30 minutes. Want to do Brooklyn Nine-Nine? It's
a good show. It's a good one.
Yeah. So anyway, just had to give that a shout out.
And bonus, Jimmy Smits plays Amy's dad.
Oh.
Look at that.
Wow. It all connects.
It all comes back to the Smits.
Yeah, that's right. I was just thinking if we did like a fan cast called like Holy Smits or something like anyway, but what else? Oh, before I left, I actually caught Clerks III, which I was gonna shout out.
I wanted to watch this so bad. It was playing here for one weekend. Mm-hmm. And I reserved a seat at like 3 different showings, and each time something came up,
Oh, I see. So you had your ticket, but you weren't able to go.
Yeah, I reserved it, and then something came. I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll go to this one. Oh, something came. So literally 3 times that happened.
Right.
And so now I'm just like waiting, but I know what happens in the movie.
Oh, okay. So, I won't get into it.
Yeah, I mean, in case people are listening, but I know the broad strokes of the story.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, so I had not gone to one of these sort of Fathom event kind of things, with Kevin Smith or his sort of traveling road show. Yeah. But I just had an opportunity. It was playing one night, and I was like, oh, shoot, that's tonight. So I just kind of went. And yeah, like, I mean, we've talked at length, I think, or at least repeatedly about our feelings on Smith, which was back in the 90s. I mean, he was like, oh, that could be me,
That's
and
right.
he positioned himself in that way too. Like, this could be you, like I'm you. And so he made a movie that was very, very low budget that you could have made
Called Clerks.
Called Clerks, and which just happened to be really, really funny. I mean, it was really, really well written. And through the years, you know, there's some movies I've liked and some I haven't liked as much. And I would say, as we inch closer to the present, I've just kind of fallen away from his sort of sense of humor. I think it's sort of changed over the years, and it's just I just don't connect with it as much. Though I still like the man. Like whenever he speaks, I always find him engaging. But the thing with Clerks 3, so for example, if this was like Tusk or something, like I probably wouldn't have gone.
Right.
But with Clerks, I just love Dante and Randall. Like I could listen to them talk all day. I will never get tired of these characters.
They're your old buddies.
They're my old buddies. And that really is the feeling you get during this movie. And so, you know, I mean, like what I just said, I mean, Smith's humor has kind of become like the lowest of the low-hanging fruit these days. And that's still true with this movie. Having said that, I still did very much enjoy hanging out with these characters, and I love them. And I would probably only recommend this movie to people who are fans who would also enjoy spending more time with them.
Yeah.
But that said, the time with them, I did truly enjoy. And this movie is much more dramatic than the others. I think this was inspired a lot by Kevin Smith's real life heart attack.
That's right.
And just his feelings on that and just on creativity. I mean, the plot, I don't think it's giving away anything, is basically Randall has a heart attack. And it's sort of like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I talk about movies so much. Why don't I make a movie? And he basically makes Clerks, like the first Clerks. And there's a lot of cameos. And when I say cameos, I'm talking about people who are not actors who appeared in the first Clerks.
Oh, okay.
You know, like some 28 years or whatever it is later, which is just, if you're as familiar with that movie, you know, as we may be, you're just like, that's the Pringles guy, you know, which is really fun. And
the guy who examines the eggs, is he in there?
He is. Yeah.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Yeah. And the guy who, you know, the health guy and the guy with the lung, you know, and the Chuli's gum guy. And like, it's just delightful to see these people. It's like a homecoming, you know, from something that I'm certain they did not anticipate.
Right. Yeah. Who'd have thunk?
But yeah, you know, leading into how much more dramatic it is, you know, Brian Halloran, who plays Dante, these people are not, they were like local actors, right?
That's right.
And they were a little rough around the edges, but that's what made it so charming. And so I think some of those edges are still sort of present, which again gives them that sort of almost like real worldy charm.
Interesting.
But much is asked of him in particular in this movie. And I think I was surprised. Like he gets a couple emotional scenes where he just kind of has an outburst.
Really?
And
I was going to ask about this actually. Yeah.
He's really good.
Wow.
Like I got a lump in my throat. And I think it's because of how I feel. You know, it's like about these friends and they get a little combative sometimes. And he has a genuine sort of outburst at Randall. And maybe because I feel I love them together, seeing them at odds, I was like, oh, wow, I'm surprised I'm actually feeling things during this. So, yeah, I would say, despite all that, I would say for fans only. But
okay. So let me ask you. So my sense from everything they've said about it and just what I've heard is that this is very much like the final Clerks movie.
Yeah, I think this is the close to a trilogy.
So did that aspect land for you, or did it feel incongruous tonally?
You know what's so funny? I think I felt this during the movie. I don't know how a younger person would react to this, but certainly as someone who has aged with these characters and has a more. This sounds so. A young person would be like, "Shut up!" But like seriously, like I just had more time and gleaned a little more wisdom and experienced a few more things. Like I appreciated that they were willing to take these characters through. Like, yeah, life's not always a comedy, you know, and like, so seeing them wrestle with their position, their stations in life, and whatever, like that's something maybe older people will connect with, and you know, so I actually did appreciate that Smith was saying what he was really feeling, I suppose. If that makes any sense.
It absolutely does. Yeah, that was my question. You know, I mean, it obviously we tend to think of Dante and Randall as sort of frozen in amber,
Yes.
telling dick and fart jokes and
Totally.
talking about the innocent contractors on the second Death Star. And
Yes.
the question is, do we want that of them 30 years later? I would say that would be kind of sad if that's all there is, right?
That's kind of it, right? Like, yeah, like I think in the second one they deal with that a little bit and
Right.
try to have other goals, and then this one is, did I really do what I wanted to do with my life? Sort of going into the whole, like, I'm obsessed with movies, but like, why don't I make a movie? And there's something kind of cool and invigorating about that too. I mean, I guess you could also be like, yeah, well, why don't I do the thing that I've always thought about too? Like, it's never too late,
It's, I mean, not to get too philosophical, but I mean, I'm sitting here on my birthday. You can't help but think about this, and there's definitely a part of me where I look at where I'm at right now, and everything I'm doing, and just in my personal life and everything. And I look at a lot of people like, I want to be back in my 20s, and I wish I was in my 30s again. And I honestly, I'm very grateful to be able to say, I like where I am. I like who I am at 40. How old am I? 43.
Yeah.
As the words catch in my throat.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I feel, I mean, if we're going to like be honest, I mean, several years ago, I didn't feel that way. And
Exactly.
Like I was really chasing something down, and I was so close. And but I got into a few things that I did actually enjoy, and I was in the industry that I've been passionate about my whole life.
Yeah.
But it was through, of course, work that I had to do myself, but also people that I've met who've helped me out, and just continuing to pursue things that I can say in this moment, I'm incredibly thankful to be where I am. And so I think, some people listening are either in that position or maybe they're not, but
Right.
it's just one of those things where this is, again, what I say, where it kind of comes with years. Cause I was talking with someone who just graduated on the airplane, and she was saying
they graduated on the airplane.
Yes.
That's some service on that flight.
I know. But she was saying she just graduated from college, and how scary it is, because she's like, they don't tell you, like, well, now you have no idea what to do next. Like, where do I even begin? And I was like, man, I remember that, and then I spoke with someone else too, who was younger than me, but just not where they want to be quite yet. And I was like, don't worry, man, there's time,
Yeah.
And that's the thing, that it takes some years to realize that, like, the moment you're only in like chapter 6, you know what I mean? Out of like a who knows how many chapter book. And it's not always easy. It doesn't mean chapter 6 is easy, but like, there are chapters ahead, and it's like,
man,
you
so
have
true.
to, right?
I mean, no, it's really like, whenever you've got younger people who are very impatient, that's just youth, it's a whole nother year,
Yeah.
and you realize, well, a year isn't that long, really, right?
Yeah, you realize that later.
Seriously, and then there's the part of looking back with regret at, oh, I wish this hadn't happened. I wish this hadn't happened. And I tend to say, like, what's the one thread you'd pull that wouldn't change everything else,
Right.
But this is just experience. Anyway, sorry, we're going philosophical. We're going through our own little Clerks III journey right now.
Right. But no, but it's true. And you also realize the doors that didn't open led to like a better door. But like, you can't know that in the moment.
Man, that is so true. It really, like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I remember, this is so funny. It reminds me of this country song that it's like from years ago that I don't even know a lot of country songs, but it was something like, thank God for unanswered prayers. And you're just like, oh, you think you're just like, this is the thing that has to happen for things to go the way that they're supposed to. But it's like, sometimes the thing that doesn't happen leads you to the thing that you could have never anticipated that's better.
When you're in it, you just don't know it.
Right.
It sort of, it reminds me of like in TV, like when you look at actors who've had different shows that got canceled or whatever, I always look at like, Scott Bakula was on a show based on the movie Gung Ho.
Oh wow!
Right, so the Michael Keaton movie, Ron Howard,
Yeah.
it's a funny movie. So they made that into an awful sitcom starring Scott Bakula, and if that show had gone, there would have been no Quantum Leap.
Right, his like career defining.
Right.
Yeah.
And Patrick Duffy was on The Man from Atlantis, but if that hadn't gotten canceled, he wouldn't have been on Dallas.
You know, it's funny. Likewise, I remember our pal Sean was working on a pilot that never went, that starred Johnny Galecki.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
Right?
yes. It was based on a British show.
Yeah. I can't remember.
Peep Show, Brian.
Peep Show. Yeah. But I remember thinking at the time, like, oh, the kid from Roseanne, right? And when it doesn't go, you're like, oh, bummer. And if he had that, he would have never gotten Big Bang Theory.
Isn't that amazing?
Which is one of the probably most, lucrative and So I think about that all the time with him specifically.
Yeah. And like he held him up for a lot of money by the end of Big Bang Theory.
Oh man, I mean they were superstars. Yeah.
I mean, amazing. Yeah. You just never know.
You never know. But hey, Clerks III.
Hey,
look, that conversation.
if Clerks III, right, can bring this out, then obviously Kevin Smith knew what he was doing.
I think this was what was on his mind. Yeah.
Now he has said in the past many times, "I'm done with the Askewniverse." Does it feel like he's done now?
Well, see, that's funny because I feel like isn't he trying to make Mallrats 2?
I mean, come on, he's been talking about that since like the end of Mallrats 1, right? Like
that's true. But if I wouldn't put it past anyone to not, to not give up on it and to continue, forward.
I can't think of many more filmmakers who announce more projects that go nowhere than Kevin Smith.
That's true.
He tends to do that.
But he's ambitious. He's ambitious for sure.
And he's living his best life. Who can fault him for that?
Yeah. Well, on a less introspective note, I was actually on a Zoom call with my coworkers on Friday, and one of them said, "Happy Don't Worry Darling Day." Because it feels like we've been reading about the drama behind the scenes of this movie for weeks or months or whatever it's been. Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, I've enjoyed a lot of it.
You know what I realized, Brian, is that I am very online.
Yes.
Because this stuff, and I guess you are too, because we know the ins and outs of the Don't Worry Darling stuff.
Yeah.
To the degree that I only realized when I had to explain Harry Styles supposedly spitting in Chris Pine's lap. I had to explain this to Amina.
Oh, fun! Oh, okay, sure.
And it was like trying to explain, a concept of reality TV to space aliens. Like there's just no in, and I'm like, why do I know this?
I know.
Like Amina's got the right perspective. She's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, look at this footage, man. And I'm like zooming in. I'm like Tom Cruise in Minority Report. I'm like winding forward, wind it back, wind it forward, wind it back.
Yeah, see, I was gonna say it's like the Zapruder film. I'm like, you can see him lean over, yet there is no spit. And it's funny.
This movie, I mean, just the drama surrounding it has enveloped anything that might be in the movie itself, right?
I know. And I mean, we don't have to drudge up all this stuff. People can look it up. But there's just been so much. It involves Shia LaBeouf. It involves spit in Venice. It involves, it's just all sorts of craziness. People being served, on stage during, presentations in front of exhibitors. Like, just crazy. It's just... Yeah. One of these things would be enough to be memorable. But so then everyone's like, yeah, but how's the movie? And when it was shown in Venice and, critics could finally say what they thought, I mean, I think it's currently around 30 something on Rotten Tomatoes. So people are like, oh, so it's not good, which I think makes people wet their lips even more because then they're ready to go in and just rip it to shreds. And then there was a clip of Harry Styles, right, being dramatic, and everyone was going to town on that and his accent and whatnot.
That's brutal.
So anyway, we're flying out tomorrow, Federica and I, but we're like, kind of want to see this. So we went last night, and we saw it in a theater that giggled anytime Harry Styles tried to act. And the movie ended, and someone went boo, and the whole theater just cracked up.
Yikes.
And then I leaned over to Federica and I said, am I the only one in here that kind of liked it?
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting.
I kind of liked it. And but you got to know what it is. Like, this is a B movie.
So you liked it in a bless your heart kind of way?
No, actually. I think it's like a Twilight Zone, or like an M. Night Shyamalan movie, like a lesser M. Night Shyamalan movie. But like, I was intrigued. It's shot beautifully. Florence Pugh is really, really good. I don't know. I was like, it's just, yeah, like it had me. And could it be better? Yes. And there are certain things that I don't think are spoilery to say, but there's weirdness. You see this in the trailer. Like, she cracks an egg and there's nothing inside, and she, is pushed up against glass for some weird reason. And I think the problem is literally none of that relates to anything. I think if those had been clues, and I'm making this up, this is not what happens, but if you had found that she's actually encased in glass somewhere, so that's why she's had this feeling of glass pressing up against her face, or blah, 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 blah. Like, if any of that had been actual clues to what's going on, I think it would have been a much better movie for it. Instead, it's just kind of weirdness for weirdness sake. But I was like, well, what's going on? Like, Chris Pine is very engaging, and he's creepy, and what's the deal? And when she starts to speak up, you're sort of like, yeah, you go, kind of like, and then by the end, it's all coming to a head, and I was rooting for her. And I wasn't going in expecting, anything more than what it is. Like I say, it's a B Twilight Zone story.
Okay.
But and so if you go in with that and with the low expectations, I think you'll be like, oh, well, that was fun. But I will say this, then Federica started pulling at its threads, and I was like, well, this is where there's two types of moviegoers. And I actually think she was right, and I'll get to that in a minute. But like, it reminded me of the movie Us, Jordan Peele's Us.
Okay.
And I liked Us. And I was one of the few people, I think, that liked Us, because it has a really, really wild, curious premise that it never really it doesn't pull at its own threads. And I was fine with that, because I was like, well, that was weird. And then that's how then that's what happened. And for many, many people, and they're not wrong, like, that's not enough. Like, they need to understand a little bit more. And that, I know for us specifically, was a big problem with Us. But I was like, oh, I just thought it was kind of cool that was what was presented to me, and then that's how it resulted.
Right.
But other movies, I do get a little annoyed when I'm like, no, you need to tell me this. And I think a lot of people are feeling they needed more from this one. Okay. And I wouldn't say they're wrong. It was enough for me as a little 90-minute romp, kind of a thing. But then we read an article, because this was a Blacklist script.
Okay.
From 2019, and it was written by Dick Van Dyke's grandsons, which is kind of interesting. Wow. Yeah. And so we read what the original ending was. And on the walk home from the theater, Federica was like, I just wanted to know this. I feel like if they had done this, just needed to see this a little bit more. And da 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 da. And I was like, yeah, actually, it would have been cool then if they had done this and this and this. And then sure enough, if you look at the Blacklist script, that's what happens.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
so like, the executives or whoever, the creatives, got their mitts into it.
Yeah. They took out some things that she had some very specific stuff. She's like, this character doesn't make sense. I need more. And then you find out, oh, that character wasn't in that script. So it was like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. It was just kind of shoved in there. And then I was like, as long as you're going to do this, I would like to see this. And it turns out that was in the Blacklist script. So, yeah, you can't help but be a little frustrated once you start thinking about those things, because you're like, oh, I just enjoyed it as like, let's throw this on. well, that was fun visually and whatever. And yeah, cool. Moving on.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it could have actually maybe been great. So,
well, that sounds slightly more. I'm slightly more frustrated now than I was like 3 minutes ago because
yeah, I mean, if we were doing a full spoilery conversation, we could get in all that. And I almost feel bad putting that in people's heads because I truly do feel like it's not a bad B movie. I still that's my final take. I did actually enjoy myself. Oh, and Harry Styles, he's fine. I don't know what everybody's getting so hard on him for.
It's been amusing seeing the pylon, and it feels like pylons tend to precipitate subsequent pylons. You know,
I think you know what also it is he's Harry Styles, and I think I have no relationship to him. Like I barely know his music. He's just one of those generational things I'm just completely not a part of.
It's so funny, yeah.
But the theater is filled with, I'm sure his fans, and it's weird to see him yelling and trying to be serious. It's like watching your friend, you know what I mean? Like trying to pretend they're like some sort of, I think that's it. Like they're having a hard time with the illusion.
Right.
And I'm like, look, he's not going to win an Oscar, but like, I certainly didn't think he was terrible. So
I mean, the very online of it all. I feel like this is a film that has most directly served as a representative of that kind, like where just online culture is its own beast entirely.
Totally.
And if you're plugged in, you're aware of. I mean, you know what it is. I'll tell you. It's the memeing of society.
Mm-hmm.
Just everyone, online just thinks in memes, right? And so,
yes,
which is all kinds of destructive,
right?
And yet it happens. And I mean, I say this a lot. I mean, I think you and I, by virtue of sort of the industries we're in, and also just like the people we're in contact with, we're probably more aware of a lot of this stuff. Plus, like doing a show like this, we do sort of try to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's effort sometimes, right? Trying to keep up with, like, I honestly, this whole Adam Levine thing going on this week.
Yes, right.
Like, for those of you who don't know, he got busted having an affair with some influencer, and like the text messages have been released, and people are just dunking on him. Anyway, I didn't know any of it, but like one of my students brought it up.
Yeah,
and that's how I found out about it. And I'm like, why do I even need to know this? Right? But now I know. And it's funny because a couple of weeks ago, Sean texted me after the She-Hulk episode with Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah.
And he was like, be honest, you have to Google whether Megan Thee Stallion's a real person, right?
Oh, that's so interesting.
Right? And I was like, well, no, I mean, I know Megan Thee Stallion. But I was thinking like, well, yeah, but I don't listen to her music.
Right.
Right, like I know of her because like just sort of osmosis and my students, right? And Sean's like our age, right? So, but it's just like he's not as plugged into this stuff as we are.
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of nice.
Is. Yeah, well, it goes. We've said this before, but there used to be like kind of a monoculture.
Yes, exactly. Right.
I mean, there were just a certain amount of TV stations, and so whether or not you wanted to watch Dallas or even know what was going on in Dallas, everybody knew that JR was shot. Right. And there's just not that it's just not that world anymore. And you can find your pocket,
That's so true.
That can lead to you missing out. I mean, for me with Harry Styles, I mean, I'm sure some people would be like, how in the world do you not know more about Harry Styles? But he's just not in my pocket,
Whereas, I mean, there was a time when everybody watched Brady Bunch reruns in the afternoon.
Yes.
That's
a great example, actually.
Yeah. I mean,
because it's what was in front of us.
You're right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of miss that. Kind of miss it.
Well, I just two more thoughts on this. I have to shout out Federica because she came up with the perfect line for this. Olivia Wilde's been on this big, tour with this movie and trying to say that, this is a movie that aims to showcase female pleasure. And, there's just been like a couple of her like bullet points she's been trying to hit. And so Federica, she wrote, for a movie that was supposedly aiming to showcase female pleasure, it didn't nail the climax.
Ba-da-bump. Look at that.
I was like, that's too good. I got to
Can't give her the Emmy.
Yeah.
I have to admit that Olivia Wilde, I found her mildly insufferable through the tour.
I was having those feelings with some of her speaking points early on, but I was like, oh, whatever. But then it keeps getting inflated.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah, as it goes along, and then you're like, oh, so maybe I was right to feel that way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's a little bit of that. I was feeling that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what else?
I will say, actually, having said that, to be fair to her, I do think it's well directed. Like it's a really stylish. It looks fantastic.
That's been my sense. I mean, she definitely seems like a talented filmmaker.
Totally.
I just feel like she's sort of become the story, which is
yes. And she's in it, by the way, which is a little distracting. But yes,
in like a M. Night Shyamalan. I'm sorry, Father.
Yeah,
kind of
I don't think she realized she was going to be Shyamalan in this, but she has become Shyamalan in this. She has
become, that's the twist ending.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway. So, well, I think what I have next is something we both watched, right?
Yeah.
We both watched Confess Fletch, which, as you probably aren't aware of, is a movie that came out this past weekend in theaters and on streaming. And I mean, this movie, speaking of if you're not plugged in, I mean, would you even know this movie exists?
No,
like, I haven't
such a
seen
shame.
Any advertising or anything for this movie.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer and I was like, oh man, I want to watch that.
Me too.
And then I saw that it was like day and date digital in theater.
Yeah.
And I mulled going to the theater to see it, and I was like, you know what? I'll just pay a little extra and just own it. So I bought it on my Vudu. I just watched it comfortably at home. And it was actually, I don't know how I would have liked it in the theater. I probably would have enjoyed it fine, but I think it was a perfect like evening at home movie.
100%. I enjoyed it totally from Zaki's Vudu.
So you saw it, you're like, hey, look at that.
Well, it was something I'd been meaning to watch, and then I saw that you added it, and I was like, hey, bonus.
That's so funny. I mean, this is like, and we talked about this off mic previously, but I was like, just from the trailers, I was like, this feels like the role John Hamm has been waiting for.
Yeah. Yes.
And that was 100% borne out by the film itself. I was like, this is because I watched Confess Fletch, and then like the next day I rewatched Top Gun Maverick with my kids. And John Hamm is really good in Top Gun Maverick, but it's like that's the role. The Top Gun guy, the stoic rule stickler guy, is who he's been sort of boxed into.
Yes.
In movies, and just being this snarky smart aleck that's just what he's good at. Whenever you see him, certainly on SNL and stuff, but even when he does like talk show appearances, you're like, you can see where his muse truly lies.
Yes.
And
I mean, yeah. Well, SNL, remember that was kind of a big moment where it was like, I mean, we knew him mostly as Don Draper. Then on SNL, it's like, oh, he's funny, and it looks like this is what he wishes he could do.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, like, that must be nice, right? To be like, just like you look like you're chiseled out of granite.
yeah.
And you're funny too. Like that does seem unfair to me.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, because us average folks, we gotta lean, like me. I had to lean on a sense of humor and try to be kind of funny because I'm just kind of goofy looking. I needed something.
I'm gonna actually stick up for you a little bit there. I think you're a handsome guy.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I should say, actually, by the way, you know, as we record this on my birthday, you know, the present I did give myself this year was Invisalign.
Oh, really?
And I'm not being paid by Invisalign, but I spent the last 6 months doing that treatment, getting my teeth, and my teeth weren't like something out of a horror movie, but you know, they had shifted in the years since high school. And the reason, kids, is if you have braces in high school, afterwards, when you get a retainer and they tell you make sure you wear the retainer, when you don't wear the retainer, you end up spending about $5,000 out of your own pocket 20 years later.
Right.
So my point is, I did this over the last 6 months, and just this past Thursday, I got the stuff in my mouth changed, and they gave me my final retainer. And I'm like, hey, it's pretty good. Kind of a nice birthday present for myself.
Oh, I'm so glad. That's great. So
I'm here to say, if Invisalign is an option for you, you should absolutely pursue it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boy, I wish we were getting paid for that.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
But yes, Confess Fletch. Go on.
Well, I thought it was perfectly fine.
Yes.
I wish I had to like actually wrap my head around my feelings when it was over, because I was like, that is like a perfectly good Friday evening yarn,
Yeah.
but sadly not a terribly memorable one.
I would agree. Yeah, I mean, but it's one of those things where, to me, I don't find the previous Fletch movies particularly memorable either.
That's fair.
Right,
Yeah,
and that's not a critique of them. To be honest, I haven't seen the second one, but the first Fletch, I think it's fine. And
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
let me just
I want to hear more of
finish
your
this
thoughts.
thought.
Yeah.
I'm just as I watched it, I was enjoying it, and it ended. I was like, I miss when there was room in the market for something like this, where you watch it, you enjoy it, and you have a nice feeling. You're not necessarily remembering it chapter and verse 2 weeks later, but you look back and you remember, I enjoyed watching that.
100%. I mean, that's kind of my feeling on it. Like, and I don't even know, I don't have like a note. Like, I don't know exactly what I would do slightly differently just to make it a little bit more like telling my parents, "Oh, you need to see this."
Sure.
It's something that's more like, "Oh, if you catch that, I think you'll be entertained for like 90 minutes and then kind of move on." I wish there'd been a little more. I think it lacked a little tension.
Right.
He never really felt truly in trouble or like.
That's funny. I had that thought too.
Yeah, and I think tightening those screws a little bit might fix everything for me. If it was because what's fun is that he's very like, devil may care attitude, and which is fun to watch. But then it might be fun to see him a bit more in a pinch as things go along and using his wits to top everybody. But that's truly my only sort of feeling about it. Because otherwise,
I wonder if that's this character though. I think I don't think we're meant to ever feel any true danger per se. It's really about, it's like watching Columbo. You're never going to be like, "Ooh, is Columbo going to die?" Like, well, no, by the end, Columbo's going to solve the case. Like, that's every episode.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still kind of trying to work through what I would do differently. And it's all minor because I like what's there. I like his interactions with the people. I enjoyed, what I did enjoy about it is, this is something I didn't realize till later in life, but like I really enjoy mysteries because I don't think they come naturally to me. It's not something I could write because my mind just doesn't think that way. So it's fun for me. You watch a movie like that with someone who watches them all the time and they'll figure them out right away. Right. And I just don't because my mind isn't trained to them. So later in life, I've been kind of enjoying them because then you're like, well, what can I do with this clue? And you kind of figure it out as you go along. And I think this was kind of a fun. That's why I did enjoy it. I was like, well, what is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, because I watched it with Amon and we're both like, I think this person did it. No, I think this person like there was a little bit of that. I also, what I liked, going back to what John Hamm does with the role. John Hamm was producer on this movie. I mean, this was like his passion project, which I think is super cool. Like he saw the original Fletch, and after that he went and read all the books, and just this was like his thing. I'm like going to do this one day,
Oh, that's cool.
And he produced. He's one of the producers. I was reading Greg Mottola, who directed it. Who did? Greg Mottola did Superbad, right?
Right.
He was talking about how like John Hamm like paid out of his own pocket so that they could get a couple extra days of shooting and stuff like that. And you love hearing stuff like that, But what I like is that he goes undercover, Fletch, throughout these various scenarios, but he's not doing the Chevy Chase thing where you're like, oh, well, that's Chevy Chase in a costume.
Right
here, like he does little stuff, like he'll put on glasses and he starts acting a certain way. There's a hilarious scene where he's pretending he's a reporter with the newspaper.
Yeah.
Which just cracked me up. And that's what I appreciated about the film, just in terms of the style of humor. It wasn't slapstick, nor was it like, hey, pop culture reference, right? It was it was like wordplay and timing and performance, and like that. I was like, this just feels like this artifact. Like, I don't know that we get movies like this anymore, and that just made it kind of refreshing for me.
I agree. I did ultimately. I was glad I watched it, and I definitely want there to be more.
Yeah.
Because like you say, I mean, this is kind of a bygone type of film, and this is exactly what I want in the mix of the many films that I watch.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let me talk about some of the stuff I've seen since the last time we recorded. I watched Pearl.
Yeah.
You heard of Pearl?
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever my algorithm, I'm seeing a lot about this movie.
Yeah, it's getting talked about quite a bit.
Yeah, it's an A24 thing, right?
It is A24. So this is the prequel to X, the movie X.
Yes, which you also reviewed.
I did. I reviewed that for the paper earlier in the year, and I mentioned during that discussion, I was like, I enjoyed it. And they showed a trailer at the end for Pearl, which is the prequel, which they shot in secret, like at the same time they shot X.
That's cool.
And anyone listening knows I'm not a particularly big horror fan, and that remains the case. But I can always appreciate a good film, and I was actually asked to review Pearl, having already done X. I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so this is that film is set in the 1970s, or rather, that's set in the early 80s, but it's an homage to 70s, 80s slasher movies.
Mm-hmm.
This film is set like in the late 1910s, and it's about the character played by, so in X, the main character Maxine is played by Mia Goth, but she plays a dual role as Pearl, this elderly psychopath. And she's so good in that movie in the dual role that I had no idea that was her.
Oh, funny.
Like, she's in old age makeup, and so I was completely oblivious to it. So that's how good she was. So this is now her as a young girl, essentially mirroring the experience of this girl, several decades later.
Sure.
And so it's kind of a stylistic homage to movies from the golden age of cinema. So very Wizard of Oz, that type of thing. And it's written and directed by Ty West, by the way, this filmmaker who I had not heard of before X, and then after X, I went back and I watched some of his earlier films. Really unique filmmaker, know. And I think what Pearl is, it's very disturbing. It is a movie that I watched with my hand in front of my like strategically covering parts of the screen as I watched it.
Okay.
Like I had my hand just far enough in front of my face where it would be blocking out, like, okay, she's about to swing that axe, let me just put my hand here, like that.
right.
But it's just, I mean, it's remarkably compelling. Like, I mean, Mia Goth is mesmerizing. I mean, she does this. She has like this 9-minute monologue at the end of the movie. That is just a straight shot. It does not cut away. It's just on her,
right,
looking off camera. So she's talking to somebody, and it's just her. I mean, it doesn't that's a performance,
Right.
And there's all kinds of stuff happening there that really, I mean, I just found it really engaging. It's not. It's disturbing, but it's meant to be, and it's effective at being what it is. And then they announced last week or 2 weeks ago that the third part of this trilogy, it's going to be called Maxine. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I'll watch that. That says something. I mean, again, everybody knows me. I don't like ultra violent, gory films. But I do like compelling character pieces, and this is that.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. I could repeat exactly what you just said, but that makes me interested. Yeah,
I think it's interesting. The question I've gotten is, should I watch X first and then Pearl, or should I watch Pearl first? And I would say, I think probably watch X first, because I think Pearl adds context, is given greater context by what we know happens later.
Sure.
But I think they're both absolutely worth watching. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, great performance. I think she should absolutely be in the conversation come awards time.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Other thing I've seen, the debut episode of the brand new iteration of Quantum Leap.
I am so curious.
Well, where are you at with Quantum Leap?
See, this is a show that my parents watched, and that's truly more of my memory of it is watching it with my parents. And I remember certain episodes, but I haven't seen it since. So I
Sure.
really couldn't tell you how I feel about it. Like, it's just more of a memory for me.
I mean, Quantum Leap is like the quintessential Brian Hall show.
It feels that way, the premise and
Yeah.
everything.
It feels like something you would absolutely enjoy going through.
Mm-hmm. I should
I mean,
do
this is
that now. Yeah.
well, you totally should. And they have the whole series streaming on Peacock for anybody listening who might be curious to go back and check it out. It's a show that has been beloved for most of my life. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching the finale. The finale aired like shortly after my family and we moved back to the States from Saudi Arabia. So it was like the final season. And I remember being just heartbroken at the finale
Yeah.
because Dr. Sam Beckett never returned home. That's what it
Right.
says. But I've loved it. I've loved it all my life, and it's been gratifying because over the last year, I've been going through it with the kids, and I mean, they love it. Like we whenever I put on an episode, they sit down and watch. And I was thinking like it's a sci-fi show in terms of the trappings, right?
Mm-hmm.
But primarily it's a character piece. I mean, it could just as easily be. For those of you listening who are like, "What's Quantum Leap?" It's this guy who is lost in the time stream, and he leaps into people at a crucial moment in their life, and he has the ability to change their future in a way that'll benefit them. And then once that change is made, he leaps on into somebody else and wash, rinse, repeat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you say, well, the time travel aspect is incidental because it could just as easily be an angel or
Sure.
you know what I mean? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
it's just character stuff. And the other day we were watching an episode from the second season, and it's about this sailor during the Korean War who comes back to the United States, and he has married a Japanese woman and brought her back, and it's about his struggle trying to get his mother to accept her new daughter-in-law. And trying to, there are people in the town who are prejudiced, and it's just it's this sailor who wants to ensure that his family accepts his wife, and when Sam accomplishes that, he can leap on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's this character piece, but I'm like watching. My kids are like watching it, just enraptured, because it's an interesting story. And I was like, it's cool that you can do that. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
and the other thought I have is like, it's a show that sort of shows you the type of person you want to be, right? Because it tends to be on the right side of these types of things, and it's performing good morality.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah.
And that's something that I appreciate so much more as I get older. But I mean, even as a kid, that was something where you say like that Sam Beckett, like that's the type of character you want to be in life. That's who you want to be,
Mm-hmm.
Always open to different possibilities and whatnot. Anyway, long story short, so they announced the new series earlier this year, and they've been talking about doing a new Quantum Leap since forever.
Right.
At one time, it was going to be a movie or something, and then as time goes by and Scott Bakula sort of ages out of it, you're like, okay, well, anything that they do would likely be a reboot.
Right.
So probably the greatest piece of news for me was that this new show is a legacy sequel.
Right. Doesn't undo what's right. Like lives in the same universe.
Yeah, exactly. And that is gratifying. And it's somewhat paradoxical because I'm somebody who's like, like continuity is not that important. You need to let stuff go. And yet here we have this in this show, and it's like, hey, well, remember when Dr. Beckett did this? And I'm like, Dr. Beckett,
Yeah, right.
So I can't ignore the fact that is meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm glad to have that. I'm glad to have that connection, even though Dean Stockwell, who played Al, he's dead now. He passed away last year. But his character is sort of a vital part of this new incarnation. In some way, that's unfolding. The main character is played by Raymond Lee, who's really good. He's the new Leaper.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually in Top Gun Maverick. He's one of the pilots in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was also on the show Kevin Can F Himself.
Oh, I saw a couple episodes of that.
Yeah, he's not Kevin. in that show.
Right.
Yeah. But he's good, and I mean the premise. It's the same premise, right? Now, just based on the pilot, it's impossible to form a firm judgment on where the show is headed.
Sure.
I think what made the original Quantum Leap work is that every episode is different. So you had kind of an action-centric episode, and it was balanced with something really heavily character-centric. But ultimately, all the best ones were the ones that really got into the heads of the characters. We're not there yet. So I can't, I like it so far, you know what I mean? But
Shows
I just
promise.
don't know. It has promise, yeah. And I was thinking, I was like, this is a Universal property and it's airing on NBC, so I feel like that probably gives it a chance to find its footing, unless the audience just isn't there at all.
Right.
But from the first episode, it sure feels like they're leading up to like Sam coming back in some form.
Right.
Even though Scott Bakula put out a statement, he's like, "I'm not involved in any way. I wish him well. I hope it does well, but I'm not involved in it." So I don't know, you know.
Maybe that's their ultimate hope, is that this character will leap into some situation where he can pull him back.
Something. I mean, it sure feels like that's what they want. I think it's interesting because the original show was very much an anthology, so we stayed with Sam on the leap, and you know, Al would pop in every now and then with needed exposition. This one seems to be doing a 2-track story, so we follow the leap of the week, and then we also like back home what's going on as they're trying to guide him, you know. And there's a little bit so now we're like in the quantum project, and Ziggy is saying this, and they're trying to like figure all that out, and I'm like, do we need that?
Yeah, I was feeling like I'd almost wondered if I would want to go back to the other story. Like I'd be feeling like, well, what's going on? How's that going with him?
I felt a little bit of that. However, I think the goal is to do something that's a bit more serialized as a sort of acknowledgement of that's where the TV audience is nowadays.
Right.
I do think it's cool that the Quantum Leap project in the present, in 2022, is run by a character played by Ernie Hudson, who's playing an older version of a character who in the original series Sam leaped into.
Oh, huh.
And yeah, it was in an episode. It was an episode called "The Leap Home," where he actually was in Vietnam with Sam's brother. That's who Sam leaped into. And I'm curious if the show will, because what we've never gotten is what is a leap like for the people who Sam leaps into, right? Because they switch places. So the leapee is sent into the future and is in like a waiting room until Sam is done.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So I'm like, well, so I'm curious, like, will they ever address that? Like, does he like, oh yeah, this weird thing happened to me, and now I realized when I got older it was quantum leap. You know what I mean? Like,
now my family loves my wife somehow, and you know,
that's right. You know,
yeah,
like that's kind of interesting. So I'm curious. And Ernie Hudson. I mean, come on, of course, it's Ernie Hudson. For goodness sake. So not much of a review. Sorry, but I've just seen the one episode, and what I saw was enough for me to say, okay, I'm willing to keep going with this.
I'm sure NBC doesn't want to hear me say this, but maybe I'll binge the show and like get the universe back in my brain and then start it up.
Hey, maybe.
Meaning they would probably want me to watch it now.
Watch it now. Yeah. Well, hey, hopefully it lasts long enough that you won't be the decisive vote.
Right.
You know. All right. Well, hey, let's take a short break and we'll come back. We got some listener letters. And we are back, and hey, got some questions and queries and comments in the old mailbag, Brian.
Letters.
Wanted to bust them at you. So here we go. This is from Jeffrey Meisner, who wrote to us regarding our Star Trek II commentary track. Remember we did that Star Trek commentary a couple weeks ago? Yeah. I believe you were part of that whole process. So Jeff says, hi, Zaki and Brian. The Star Trek II commentary was perfect timing because I just finished the Trek commentaries on Nostalgia Theater, which is my other show, part of our MovieFilm network here. And I was feeling withdrawal. It was cool to hear Brian's thoughts on Trek this time around, and I have a couple of questions if you don't mind. First, I discovered MovieFilm during the pandemic, and I love it. Wow.
Oh,
that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
I'm still working my way through past episodes, and about 6 months ago, I became aware of Nostalgia Theater, where I enjoyed the Trek commentaries, but I was curious, what became of the plans for TNG film commentaries? That's the next generation. Brian, that's the next generation.
Thank you.
Maybe this is old news I missed, but will there be more of that series? Second question, in case commentaries for the TNG films are still a while away, could I have a sneak preview of what your retrospective thoughts are on them? After I wrapped up doing the first 6 Star Trek movies on Nostalgia Theater with Glenn Greenberg, my intention had been to keep going with the Next Generation movies at some point in the future. And honestly, the pandemic derailed quite a bit of things. But that is something I do hope to get back to at some point. And as far as Brian's reactions to the Next Generation movies, I'm going to say, what are Next Generation movies? I think that's your reaction. Right?
Yeah, I have not seen them. Yeah.
You did watch Star Trek First Contact. This is like 2009.
I did.
And with me.
Is that, well, I was going to say something. I don't mean to. Can I spoil a movie that's that old?
I think you can. It's 26
that's
years
the one
old.
where Kirk dies, right?
No, that's Generations.
Oh. Okay.
So, Jeff, there you go. that's where Brian's at.
I'm so sorry, Jeff.
No. I mean, that's. I think overall, what I'll say is that the Next Generation movies, I'm glad that they exist because it's more time with these characters who I enjoy. But I don't think, other than the already faithful, I don't think any of those films is going to win over somebody who's not already a fan. And I think when you're making a movie, that's a problem. I think even First Contact, which is probably most people would say is the best one of those, it's don't apply unless you've got your merit badge.
Why do you think that is versus like Wrath of Khan or something?
I think part of it is that when Wrath of Khan came out, there was just less stuff. So there was less homework that you needed.
Yeah.
I think that by the time we get around to the Next Generation movies, I mean, Star Trek is a many-pronged machine,
Right.
And so it was beholden to be responsible to all of that canon and everything else. And also, I think they knew that the audience was bigger.
Right.
The existing audience is bigger. I mean, Next Generation was a massive, massive hit. It aired in syndication, but it got ratings that would have been a top 10 primetime series.
Right.
It was nominated for Best Dramatic Series during its last season. So, there was a big fan base. So I think to some extent they leaned into that to be like, well, you're going to know it. It's like MCU stuff at this point. Like they can do their little callbacks and whatever because the audience is so big now.
Right.
But I think, yeah, and you know what? The other thought I have is that what made the Next Generation work as a TV series is exactly what didn't make it work as a movie series. Which is that it was very much an ensemble show. Much more so. Like original Star Trek, it's Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock and the other people. And that works for movies. Like you can carry that over into movies because you just need the Uhura scene.
Right.
Oh, here's the Chekhov scene. I think with Next Generation, you had 7 seasons where you really got a sense of all these characters. Patrick Stewart is the star, clearly, but he was the first among equals. And when you carry that over to the movie form, you just can't do that, right? Like, not everybody's going to get to carry their load of the story.
Right.
And then the other thing is, like, they tried really hard to replicate Wrath of Khan instead of doing something different. Wrath of Khan was unique, and Ricardo Montalban did something just specific to him. And they kept trying to find a charismatic villain like Khan. So you have Malcolm McDowell in the first one, and you have Tom Hardy was in the third one, and who was F. Murray Abraham was, great actors.
Yeah, but you can see the template that they're.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I think that, again, I'm glad they exist because I like the characters, and they've come back. They've done 3 seasons of Star Trek Picard, revisiting that those characters, and now the upcoming third season of Picard is going to bring back the entire Next Generation crew, which we haven't done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm like, great. Like the end of those movies, which I thought wasn't a great end for that era. Like, it doesn't have to be the end,
Right.
And my understanding is that the goal was we want this to be like the farewell
Nice.
that we didn't get to have before.
Yeah.
Like, I hope that works out.
That's what's awesome about streaming is that you can, you don't know that they would have gotten their feature film to do that, but now you have the opportunity to tell that story.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it's like, that's amazing, Yeah. Like, I don't know how long the streaming nirvana that we're currently in is going to last.
Yeah.
It can't last indefinitely.
Sure.
But while we're in it, hey, I'm glad. Right now, currently, there's on Paramount Plus, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Star Trek shows.
Wow.
Right? Like 2 of them are animated, 3 live action. I mean, and Trekkies still complain.
Wait, about what?
Just like, oh, this sucks, or I don't like that. And I'm like, you don't have to watch any of it.
Right.
That's totally fine. But like, it's there. I mean, what a time,
Yeah.
But regarding the Star Trek II commentary, we got another comment here from Tyler Kloster. He says, this was a great listen. One of the few commentaries I've listened to without the movie playing along, as it definitely wasn't needed. Thanks to both of you guys. He says, my recent viewing did make me wonder how the movie would have been received if everything else about it were exactly the same. The scripts, the effects, the performances, the music, but the Federation crew were wearing the pajama uniforms from the motion picture. Which I don't know if you've gone back and looked at the uniforms that they wore in the first movie.
I've seen the images. I know exactly what he's talking about.
They're
it's funny. They do give me a sleepy feeling.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, that's so
it's
interesting.
It's when Robert Wise came on, he decided that everything needed to be pastel colored. And it really, those uniforms, my understanding is that they were extremely uncomfortable because they were sewn in such a way that if you were the men in the audience, they were putting pressure on your franken beans.
Why do that?
Right, exactly, because essentially the pants that had these straps under the feet, so they were pulling up. This is stuff we don't think about, but I think Shatner in one of his books, he was like, what we realized, like, if we sat the wrong way, we were like not going to be able to have kids.
Oh man,
Yeah. And that's actually a really good question. I don't know. I that's unanswerable to me.
I get it though. I mean, it definitely feels locked into a time period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it looks like a movie from the 70s, sort of like sci-fi from the 70s, and
sci-fi from the 70s. Exactly.
Star Wars is also.
Yeah, there was a TV show in the 70s called Space 1999, which was kind of trying to be like the Star Trek of that era, I guess. But it starred Martin Landau and Barbara Bain, and it was, and I'm not getting into the show itself. I know some people like it. I'm not a big fan, but the aesthetic was very 1970s,
right?
And it's very similar to Star Trek: The Motion Picture. And so I think one of the best things, and maybe I said this in our Star Trek II track, Nick Meyer, by getting rid of that, was like, their uniforms don't need to be like quote unquote futuristic looking, and they don't look particularly futuristic,
No, like, I mean, if you put them in a movie now, you'd be like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the best things possible for that movie. I think that's why we don't, it's not rooted in a specific era.
Right.
Like even the original Star Wars, it nips around sort of 70s-ness, but it has an aesthetic all its own.
Which I think is funny when you watch Rogue One. Then you're like, oh, I love it because they just gave these guys like mutton chops and mustaches,
Yeah, right.
But otherwise, all the tech and the costumes and the flight suits, it's like, no, that's Star Wars.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's funny actually, because during the original series, this is one of the smart decisions that Gene Roddenberry made, in my opinion, is he's like, in the future, in Star Trek's future, they have pointed sideburns.
I noticed that actually.
Yeah.
That all the men had these sort of, like little talon like sideburns.
And I'm like, yeah, because that's, in a way it's kind of smart, right? Because it just situates it as that time. That's what they do in that time.
It's its own thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's its own thing. Well, thank you for that, Tyler. And this is we have a couple updates from Adam O, who's been dutifully updating us during his progress through our episodes about our references to the Magnificent Ambersons and My Dinner with Andre.
Yeah.
So here we go. Episode 222, Godzilla vs. Kong is not My Dinner with Andre. Episode 223, Without Remorse is not the Magnificent Ambersons. Episode 229, The Suicide Squad from 2021 is My Dinner with Andre compared to Suicide Squad 2016.
That holds up.
And then he followed up with, as of today, I am all caught up on regular episodes. I think I started with episode 1 sometime in January.
Wow.
And have burned through 253 in that time, which, Adam, God bless you, but my God.
I just feel like I want to send him something, but we don't do shirts or anything. We don't have anything.
I think if you do that, you become de facto co-host of the show. I think that's how it works. I think one of us needs to go now.
One has to go, and then one...
Because, damn, I wouldn't even do that.
I love it, though.
I have never done that. He says, now I'm left with the choice of either starting with the commentary episodes or paying attention to my family. Well, obviously, commentaries should be where you land there. I mean, it's common sense. I think you can both guess which I'm going to pick. I'm genuinely curious, to be honest. He says, but the point of the email in episode 240, Zaki noted, incorrectly, I might add, that Independence Day is not My Dinner with Andre. How dare you, sir? How dare you, sir?
I love that. I agree. I love Independence Day. I put it on the shelf with My Dinner with Andre, I suppose.
It should be a 2-pack on Vudu, like a bundle.
Yeah.
And finally, in episode 250, he said that blood sport is not the Magnificent Ambersons. However, he did note that compared to Steven Seagal, Jean-Claude Van Damme is Orson Welles, which I think is something we can all agree on.
Again, 100%.
Yeah. So, Adam, my gosh, doing the Lord's work.
Oh, I love it. Zaki sent me part of this beforehand, and this just delights me to no end. I hope he's enjoyed it. I hope it's been fun listening. When I was moving, I got into Blank Check, I think it's called, the movie podcast, and I just was able, I was so busy, just packing and moving and driving and whatever, that it was fun burning through something. And so I remember that, that was fun burning through 30 episodes of that show or whatever. And so I'm so happy. I'm honored, honestly, that Adam,
if we can provide, if we can offer something that makes people want to dive that deep.
Yeah. And continue.
My gosh.
Honestly, that's kind of the highest compliment we can get.
It truly is, it's amazing. We also have one last letter here. This is from Michael Fang, who, if you remember in our previous episode, he recommended the movie RRR to us.
Yes. Oh, damn it. Federica's been giving me a hard time about that.
And now Michael's going to also.
He told you. Yeah.
He says, hi, Zach and Brian. Greetings from LAX. So he's just where you are. Yeah. He says, was just listening to the latest episode 253 while returning the rental car when I heard you guys mentioning my previous email about RRR. I couldn't believe it and was smiling ear to ear when you guys riffed on it, especially with me signing off as an executive producer for RRR.
Yeah.
He said, I believe we're about the same age, so everything you guys referenced in the show hits home for me and really reminded me how my friends back in school used to nerd out and joke about movies. So I want to thank you both for giving me a good reason to put in my headphones and just reminisce.
Oh, that means a lot. Really Thanks, nice. Michael.
He goes on to tell, this is a bit longer, so I won't read the whole thing, but he talks about an encounter he had where he saw Peter Jackson at a dining establishment, and he did the thing where you go up to a celebrity at their table and you say, can I get a picture with you? And naturally, Peter Jackson was not at that moment, in the mood for that. He says, no, not right now. And I went right back into this conversation. And Michael says, I think I said, of course, got up and left casually and kicked myself for a good minute for the rookie move. Nevertheless, it was just so random to see him, of all people, at Disneyland.
Oh, yeah.
And I was thinking about that. I was like, that's something that you have to imagine that celebrities deal with all the time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it is interesting because I think, I mean, certainly I know you and I have discussed this, where that's like the one thing you don't do.
Yeah.
Is go
but
to
I can understand
when they're at a table.
The surprise at seeing someone. You just feel compelled because they mean so much to you.
Yeah.
You feel compelled to connect with them in some way. So I can understand it. But yeah, you tend to hear that a lot where they're like pretty much anywhere but when I'm like sitting and eating or something.
Yeah, it's and I would imagine that part of it is because once they do it for one person, then a line forms and they don't get to finish their meal.
Right.
But definitely, like, I mean, you've been there long enough. I'm sure you have plenty of like celebrities at fill in the blank dining establishment stories.
So basically, you just like pretend like you're not looking at them and speak in hushed tones.
that's and Michael, to his credit, is like, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking,
But that's nice. It sounds like, from what I can glean, that it went well both ways, though. At least it seems like Jackson was at least not like, I'm eating, and Michael was just like, oh, yep, of course, yeah. I mean, that's about as well as that can go, I think.
This is the trade-off of fame, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is you do lose the ability to just have a private public life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I watched this video of Ben Affleck recently. He was, I don't know, he's in Paris or something.
Oh, I think I saw this. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like got this cigarette, right? Did you see that? And there's like a line of people taking pictures, and he's like, yeah, it's fine. And like, and then he keeps hiding the cigarette behind his back, and like, hey, and like kind of half smile. Like, okay, next. Like he's just kind of knocking them out.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, this must be like he's got this down,
I mean, it's tough. I think it was Mark Hamill who. In fact, I think it was something that Kevin Smith said that Mark Hamill told him, that what you realize is, like, if people come up to you, you want to give them their minute, because that's you give them a good experience, and that's a story that they'll tell for the rest of their life.
Right.
But if you give them a bad experience, then that's going to be 100 stories.
It's so true, and it's kind of unfair.
It is.
It is unfair, And by the way, I have my minute with Mark Hamill, and I'll never forget it.
Which is a new podcast launching at the MovieFilm Show.
Yeah, but that's you also realize that some people are fans themselves,
that's right.
And I think it gives them a perspective on it, like Mark Hamill.
Yeah, very true. So thank you, Michael, and everyone else who wrote in this week. Really, just sincerely. Just the fact that you reach out, just the fact that what we have to say, you find it worth your while. It means just everything. It really does. So much. I mean, sometimes, Zaki will send me things if it's on Twitter or that I don't see or whatever. And we text and we're just like, can you believe it? Like, this just is, it's fuel in our tank, and it really means a lot to us. I can't let our listener letter section go without this note that I got from Dan Kiedis on Twitter, who he's also been working his way through the commentaries. Now, he's listening to us from the UK, and he says, today I started Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, which, like Brian, I have that film permanently seared into my memory. Yeah. By the way, I love how they didn't even try to account for UK geography because they knew it was mostly for an American audience. Robin and Azim, they arrive at Dover and walk along Hadrian's Wall to get to Nottingham, which would be like arriving to the U.S. at Miami and traversing the Colorado Rockies to get to Des Moines, Iowa. Which is A, hilarious, and B, tells me that in the UK, they know more about American geography than we know about it here. Because I had to pull up a map. I was like,
That was so perfect. That was such a perfect example that I was like, yep, understood. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's and yet certainly we just roll with it.
Right.
But it is funny to me because that commentary was recommended to us by Tom McClellan, who's in the UK. Dan is like, oh, it's seared in my memory. So I'm like, clearly that movie worked for even people who were more obviously aware of how ridiculous it was.
Right.
In terms of the internationalization of it all, in
Right.
terms of the Kevin Costnerization, if you will.
Right. I'm from England, born and raised. Yeah.
You're my brother?
I have a brother. Yeah. But you know what? I love it.
Yeah. I can always go back and visit that movie.
Yeah.
All right, another break, and then we can come back and we can talk up the latest release in the Star Wars universe. And we are back, and you know who else is back, Brian?
Who's that?
Cassian Andor.
And it's about time.
It's we thought he was pushing up daisies at the end of Rogue One. Turns out that there's more story to tell because he is back in Andor, the prequel series to Rogue One, which is itself the prequel to Star Wars.
Right.
That's what's happening with this franchise. We're just paving every little piece of road.
I know. I love it.
What's to complain about, So Diego Luna is back playing this character, and the first 3 episodes dropped on Disney Plus earlier this week. I saw the first 4 episodes about a month ago, and then the season got delayed, so the embargo got delayed, so I couldn't talk about it, which is very frustrating. However, you know what I thought is you've seen them, you've seen the 3 episodes, right?
I have.
Okay, so we'll talk about those. But before we do that, I wanted to share something kind of special. Earlier in the month, I had the opportunity to talk to Diego Luna about Andor, and not merely the opportunity to reprise the character in this show, but also what it was like getting offered the gig to begin with. Great discussion. This was for the San Francisco Chronicle, but what they posted there was an edited version, and I was like, well, let's give people an opportunity to hear all of it. I think they'll hopefully enjoy what he had to say.
Yeah, I would too. I want to hear this.
Well, here we go.
Hello, how are you, man?
Hi, Diego. How are you?
I'm good. Good. What a nice background you have there.
I'd love to say these are my books, but this is one of those like Zoom wallpaper things.
I can tell, but yeah. People don't have books anymore. It's so sad. Like that's about to become like a vintage background. So.
It really. I have a library of books, but it's all comic books. So it wouldn't look as impressive in the background. Before we start, I wanted to say my wife made me say, please tell him he was so adorable in The Terminal. So I wanted to make sure I passed that on.
Oh man. Thank you so much. Please tell her I appreciate the comment and thank her.
So before we talk about this show in particular, I wanted to get your Star Wars origin story. I feel like you and I are roughly the same age. I'm assuming you grew up with Star Wars in some way. What was your first exposure?
I think I was young. I was 6 years old, I guess, when I saw New Hope. And I mean, I was late. I was born in 1979, so I had to watch it at home. But I just wanted to belong. My cousins. I'm the youngest in the family. All my cousins were already fans. That's what they played all day long. That's the stuff they were talking about, and I just wanted to belong. So I watched it, and probably is one of the first, like I would call it, like demanding films I had to see, because of the patience and the way it's shot. And like, I don't know, if at 5-6 years old, probably that's not what you're looking for, but I really wanted to be part of that world. So I really got into it. And I think it's one of my first memories of watching cinema, not cartoons, of watching cinema with that scope, with that ambition,
So when Gareth Edward calls you for Rogue One, I mean, that must have been just like mind blowing for you.
it was crazy. I couldn't believe it was real. I was asked, and also everything is so secret and complex. And so I don't know. I think I was shooting in Europe. And no, that's not true. I was shooting in Mexico. I was shooting something in Mexico, and I got a phone call saying, would you want to sit with a director? We don't know what the project is. We think it might be Star Wars. And I flew to LA, and I went to a restaurant, and at a weird time it was a Sunday. It was like 4 p.m., lunch was over, and the restaurant was empty. The director was sitting, giving his back to a wall with a computer. I sat down next to Gareth, and he opened the computer and started telling me a story and started talking a lot about a guy, and then this guy does this, and then the guy does that, and then he was showing me the signs and telling me the whole story. And at the end, I was like, yeah, what? And why am I here? And he was like, well, I want you to play that role. We just have to convince the rest, and we'll have to do a test, but I want you to do it. And I was like, this can't be true. Like, what did I do to be here? And has Star Wars gone nuts? What do you mean? Like, now the actor can be a Mexican? What is that? With my accent? I don't get it, And Garrett said, yeah, I love your work, y tu mamá también, man, and I've been wanting to work with you since then, and I thought it would be great and perfect in this film. And I was like, shit, a film like Y tu mamá también can get you to do Star Wars. The world is changing, It felt like that. And then something started that is like, it was such a long journey. I remember doing my first camera test. I shot it in Mexico, and I'm a director. I have a production company. So, and Garrett said, like, please shoot it beautifully, And when I heard that, I was like, okay. So we had a studio. I had a camera and a crew. I had a director. I talked to a friend, an actress, and she came and played the other role. We did it very professionally. The next time I did another test with Garrett, he had a tiny little camera, and we were in a room in a hotel with a horrible light. I was like, man, what do you mean when you say shoot it right? Shoot it. But it was quite insane, and you cannot tell anyone. It was crazy. But yes, I mean, it happened, and it not just happened. I'm here talking about a show about this role because it's interesting, but also, I mean, we have to accept it because Rogue One was important for audiences, and because if we do this, it's because audiences care about, if we're here, it's because of audiences care about.
Well, to that point, I mean, I think that's what's astonishing to me is Cassian Andor is the character's 5 years old, and he's already beloved. He's beloved in the pantheon of Star Wars characters. That's got to be a nice feeling.
It is a beautiful feeling, man. And being part of a film that matters is a beautiful feeling, matters to people, matters to audiences, because also the audience of Star Wars, come on, it goes from my dad, to my son, it's like that big. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting what Rogue One meant, There was a chance for audiences that were there from the beginning to still feel there was something Star Wars could give to them, that there was a chance to keep having a relation with this universe that was not just about nostalgia,
Right.
I think that is what happened with Rogue One. Many people, between their 20s and 50s, you know, were like, okay, we love the origin of Star Wars, and here we are with a dark story, you know, more complex and mature, but at the same time different, you know, which is one thing I believe it's necessary. If you're gonna join the universe of Star Wars and be part of this family, you gotta bring something new, you know. Right. Otherwise, don't even bother, you know.
Well, to that point, Cassian is extremely dead at the end of Rogue One. And you're like, hey, job well done.
I love your.
So you get the phone call and you're like, hey, we want to bring Cassian back. What's your first thought there?
It made sense, complete sense, man. I mean, it was a phone call, very cautious phone call, saying, would you be willing to explore the possibility of, you know, revisiting the past of Cassian? And I was like, okay, yes, of course. Because, you know, what made sense is that they are pretty unique characters. What they do, what Cassian does, is quite heroic, you know. It's like, well, not quite, it's big time, you know, heroic. It's
as heroic as it gets.
It's like the full sacrifice for the cause, you know, complete sacrifice. And you want to understand what gets someone there, you know. How come someone like Cassian can get to a point where he's willing to sacrifice everything for the rebellion? What needs to happen in the life of someone? What is everything he's talking about? Because Rogue One is quite vague in terms of what the character refers to when he talks about being part of the fight at 6 years old, or when he talks about a very dark past, or he talks about doing horrible things for the rebellion. Why is he talking about? I thought that story is interesting. It's not just like, oh, okay, we're going to go back to the character and see him, you know, repeat himself for 24 episodes. In fact, we're going to see a very different character, and we're going to see what oppression looks like. You know, what gets someone to rebel, you know? I mean, why a community articulates revolution, what has to happen there, you know? I think that's what's important. Interesting, sorry, not important. Interesting to watch, you know? And tonally also, I think the beauty of Andor is that we have not just the permission, but the responsibility of being different, you know? As Rogue One was a standalone in the world of the saga films, you know, we had a beginning and an end, and we were meant to be different. Same thing with Andor in the world of Star Wars original series now that they're doing. You know, we have a beginning and an end, and we are meant to be different. Therefore, the challenge was still there, and it sounded exciting to me.
Now, you mentioned before about like, oh, you know, can a Star Wars hero have an accent and be, you know, a Mexican person? Like, that's not something we've seen, you know. And I wanted to drill down on that a little bit, because representation, you know, for myself, you know, I'm Indian Pakistani, and I got to buy my kids a Riz Ahmed action figure from Rogue One, and there's a Star Wars hero who looks like them. Can you talk about, obviously, as an actor, you don't want to be boiled down to an ethnicity or an accent, and yet that's meaningful for so many people. And I was wondering if you could talk about sort of maybe the paradox of that.
Well, I mean, it does mean a lot, you know. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to people I know that look like me or sound like me. Coming from Mexico, it's even more important, you know. We are the neighbors of this gigantic machine, this gigantic industry that feeds us, you know. We can't keep up, you know. It's I grew up watching American films. The music we get comes in English. We read subtitles. Our industry is probably the music industry fights more back. But the cinema industry just lost the battle, basically. It's hard to find a film in our language in Mexico in the cinemas. Normally you have 4 screens with a superhero, the other 4 with the big action or drama coming, and the kids films, and all of that comes from the States. So when this industry makes an effort to represent the people speaking Spanish in the world, it's it means something. I also think the industry is reacting to the world we live in. I think it's the other way around. I think it's not about like us thanking the industry and going, oh my God, finally, as if it was philanthropy. It's 13% of the population in the States speak Spanish at home. 13. That's a big part of the population, and Spanish in the world is the second language. It's huge. Therefore, clearly the industry should be telling our stories, and making us part, and not in terms of numbers, but really in terms of the richness that diversity brings, that cultural diversity brings. I'm not saying the whole industry got it, but we are on the way, and I think it's because audiences are sending the right message. When you buy a ticket, you send a message. When you don't buy a ticket, you also send a message to the industry, and it's us that we have as audience the chance to shape the industry. So it talks to us, in the way we want. And I think if I have to celebrate that, I believe Lucasfilm is doing it the right way, because it doesn't feel imposed. Like the stories have that complexity, the complexity of the world we live in. With Andor, we're making so many comments about the world we live in. It's very pertinent to the present, and I believe that is something many could learn from.
Well, thank you so much, Diego. That was so thoughtful. I really appreciate that. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you, man.
All right.
I think it's so cool you get to interview these people. It's interesting, hearing people who are involved in filmmaking, because we enjoy that, but especially in a universe we're so interested in. Like, you get to ask the questions you'd be sitting at home wanting to ask anyway. So
and the other cool thing is this was conducted via Zoom, which is now a sort of post-pandemic fact of life, which sometimes going downtown and having to do the whole press junket thing. You're having to carve out like 3 hours of your day.
Right.
Right. And instead to be like, okay, no, I got, 20 minutes here. Just hop on.
Yeah, just hop on.
It's hard to complain about that,
Yeah.
But I think what he had to say was quite meaningful. I think, and this is something I've talked about extensively. Just existing as a person of color, as a person with an accent in this universe that is so beloved, that is very meaningful, But regardless, the show itself has begun, and just the general critical consensus seems to be quite positive. I think I said this to you at the time. I said, I think it's my favorite of the Star Wars shows thus far, but I think it'll be the least watched of the Star Wars shows. And I don't know about the second part, but I definitely feel that way about the first part.
I understand now what you're talking about, because I really enjoyed these episodes. And what's so interesting is, we've spoken many times about this, but when Mandalorian started, I was a little jarred by its episodic structure, because so many streaming shows are now just completely serialized, right? Like you have to click on the next one. You have to click on the next one. They all completely continue. And it took me a minute to adjust to that. Now, Andor is totally serialized.
Yeah.
And it made me, I don't have a dedicated opinion to this, but when Netflix drops something all at once, like Stranger Things, I can just, if I have the time, I can keep going at my leisure and, and my interest. And with this one, it's totally serialized. And it's like, oh, dang, this is literally, I have to wait a week for this. And this is going to take me 2 months. It's like my brain has, the way that I intake entertainment has been so changed that I'm like, well, I kind of want to watch the next two, because it's like the episode doesn't really wrap up. It's just, it's still going. And so, not a complaint, just an observation. But what I think with that in mind, what they did wisely was release 3 episodes at once.
Oh, they needed to.
Yeah, because those aren't 3 episodes. That's like a 90-minute pilot.
Yes.
Right. You need 100%. All of those together.
Yep.
And what's interesting too is I like what I've seen, but I get the sense that I still haven't seen the show. Like this feels like
I think that's fair.
The setup to what the show is going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm curious your thoughts.
Well, first of all, as impressive as the LED technology of the volume is, and they've utilized it in incredible ways, I did feel like it was making a lot of these Star Wars shows very samey looking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan Kenobi were all shot interior using this LED screen around to simulate an environment.
Right.
But watching this right away, I was like, well, that's no moon. I was like, no, that's
100%. This is, I love the aesthetic of this show. I love the production value of this show. It's immersive. It's really cool.
It's, what I've really liked about it thus far, and apparently Tony Gilroy, who created the show, he has said, the mission statement was to not be sort of awash in member berries.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that is something that I've really appreciated, where it is clearly part of the Star Wars universe. I mean, it exists within it, no doubt. The aesthetic, everything else is very much a part of that. But I don't know about you, but I was like, I'm seeing something new. Like I've never seen this in Star Wars.
I agree. I mean, it much like Rogue One, even though this is a little different, but it's the promise that Rogue One gave us, which was we're truly going to abandon the characters and even though it's tangentially related to a story we know, but like we're going to follow completely different people on a completely different type of mission that involves very different settings, very different stakes. And that's what I really liked about this. I mean, it's all the Star Wars sounds and sights and whatnot, but it's a very different story with a character I'm interested in. And so I find that really delicious. Like I'm ready to dive into that's what I'm saying. Like I'm ready to keep going. I don't want to wait till next week.
It's I mean the inciting incident involves this shooting that happens on kind of this mid-rim planet, and it's not Imperial troopers or
right
personnel. It's these mid-level security people on this planet, and just I found that sort of novel,
right? That
we're getting a sense of sort of the inner workings of how did the Empire retain control in a pre-Death Star world, and a lot of it is just these planets being like, look, just don't draw attention to yourself, just stay under the radar.
That's a real good point. This might be the most time we've spent with regular people,
right,
in a world where the Empire is continuing to rise.
Yeah, like that. I find all that stuff so interesting. I mean, we're at like 5 years before Rogue One in terms of the main line of the story, right? And I'm sort of interested in the fact that Cassian is not yet part of the rebellion. And yet in Rogue One, he says, I've been in this fight since I was 6, right? And so how do we connect that?
Right.
Like, that's interesting to me, you know?
Yeah, you know, I have to credit 2 people because they both said the same thing to me independently. But, you know, our pal and listener, Charles Landy, and then my buddy Michael Olson, they both said to me, like, it feels like a Blade Runner series. And I was like, yeah, I dig that, because if you're going to have, it's like with Marvel, right? If you're going to have so much content, it's cool that this one feels like a political thriller, and this one feels like a lawyer workplace comedy, and this feels like this. And this, I love that this is kind of our Star Wars noir.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but like back before the sale, Lucasfilm was developing a show. I think it was called like Star Wars Underworld or something to that effect. And it feels like this. Right. Do you remember that?
Yeah. You're making me remember
it. It feels like this is indebted in some ways to that, you know, conceptually. But I think that was like, oh, we're just gonna follow these kind of scoundrels and bounty hunters and whatnot. And I think wrapping the show around Cassian Andor, who we know is as heroic as it gets, well, that allows us to have a point of you know, a home base, if you will. We're following a character who's really interesting, and I think using him as a way to make us aware of the broader world of the rebellion that's underneath, you know. The rebellion doesn't fully exist yet, so like Mon Mothma is a senator, and the character played by Stellan Skarsgård is kind of a gadfly, and all these people, but you know, the rebellion there's no guarantee that what they're going to do will succeed, so they still have to keep their persona.
Right.
Like, that's interesting, right? Because we've never gotten that.
Right. Yeah, we've seen like the generals and the, you know, their bases and whatnot, but yeah, seeing this sort of boots on the ground uprising, you know, as it's occurring.
The espionage and you know, and I think I certainly hope. I mean, just based on what we've seen so far, you know, it's stayed away from a lot of Force stuff and no lightsabers and stuff, and definitely, I'm like, yeah, keep that energy, like make the Jedi something rare.
Yeah, like I wouldn't mind if we did see a Jedi, but it was from the point of view of someone who's like, they're real. You know, like maybe they see them do something crazy and they don't even become like a main character. But, you know, it's just this, how does the regular person in this universe, in this time period, view Jedi? I mean, they've probably never seen one.
In Star Wars, if you remember, Tarkin is like, you know, telling Vader, right? He's like, oh, their fire is all but gone out of the galaxy. And I'm like, that's like, we need that. Like, that's one thing that I feel like the people making this stuff sometimes forget. Like, well, there had to be a time,
right,
when Jedi weren't everywhere, you know,
right.
And to me, that allows like something like Rebels to be more special, where you have this Padawan who's teaching this Force-sensitive kid. Why? Because there's nowhere else this kid can learn from except a Padawan who didn't finish his training. Like, you know, and this show would exist like concurrent with Rebels.
Right.
So that's one type of crossover. Actually, I hope we do see something. I don't know how, but you know, this is a universe that I always love going back to. But the more we get, the more I want to see them mix it up a little bit, right? And so that's what I respond to most. Like, oh, doing something a little different. We're used to going this way. We're going this way now.
Yeah, and I even, you know, kind of enjoyed the whole Mad Max Thunderdome kids.
Yes.
You know, like their own sort of society, because some sort of accident had happened on that planet. And then they see this like cruiser, you know, like this foreign thing enter into their world and what that means and how they react to it. And like that, I've never seen that, but that's kind of cool because I recognize the iconography of the ship. You know, it's still Star Wars, which is always just going to make me lean forward.
That's right.
And also, you know, it's kind of interesting how a lot of the action is withheld till the 3rd episode.
Yep.
Right? We don't really get like, whereas almost every Star Wars property, there's always kind of like some sort of, not if it's not one thing, it's three things cross cut,
Yeah.
at the end. And this is sort of like, no, we got some stuff we got to do first before we get to some action. And it's just interesting. It's interesting seeing something different. And yeah.
And especially because we know that we're in for 2 seasons, 24 episodes.
Yeah, which is a lot in the streaming times.
Yeah. And we know, or at least my understanding is that the goal is to basically end right where Rogue One starts.
Oh, really? They're going to go right up to it. I didn't know that.
Or just before it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that says, okay, well then that gives us the roadmap for the journey that we're on, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how do we get there? Like that, that all that stuff, I think is what has me like, oh yeah, what does this look like? What does the dawn of the rebellion look like?
Right.
Like we know we're going to see Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma again,
right?
And we know that Cassian is not a rebel yet,
right?
So by the end of this show, certainly, he's a rebel. So what is it? What does that mean?
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to the characters he's going to meet and the situations he's going to be put through, and like the promise. Going back to the Quantum Leap thing, I mean, like I said, I feel like I just watched a 3-episode pilot that is now propelling me into what this is going to be, and I'm really intrigued by the promise of it.
The character Inspector Karn, who the Weasley guy who goes after Cassian.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, what's this guy? Where's he headed?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just again the stuff like where that guy is like, oh, we have to find the killer who did this, and his boss is like, look, man, just whatever, just let it go. It's so funny because that's something that feels within the realm of what would happen in our world, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it's refreshing to see a version of that in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Kind of that.
He's
like,
good.
Yeah. I mean, again, you're like, God, what's this guy's? What's happening here?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I find so intriguing. And Stellan Skarsgård, who obviously he brings his own gravitas,
right?
But I'm kind of like, this guy is like, he's going to be a crucial character in Cassian's life, but how?
Right.
And I'm presuming he's going to die.
I assume, yeah. That's so funny.
But how? Right? What is it?
Yeah, and during his time when we're assuming that he's going to be alive, right? And then like, what will their relationship be like? What will it be that he does that influences Cassian? And
that's right.
Like going back to it, I like all the promise of that.
But I'm genuinely curious how fans are gonna perceive this show. I genuinely, like, I have no idea.
Yeah, because it is definitely a different tempo. Yeah, I would say. I mean, yeah. How is it being? I actually haven't really noticed.
I mean, critic reviews seem to be overall positive. I haven't really paid attention to Twitter and all that stuff.
Yeah,
because I value my sanity.
Yeah,
I have no idea. Yeah. Maybe it is kind of a wait and see. I mean, just having Star Wars in the name buys you, like a X amount of buy-in, no matter what.
Right.
But yeah, other thoughts on Andor?
No, just I thought, I like what we're seeing. I like that we're seeing new ideas or new types of jobs and new types of characters and in the Star Wars setting. And this was enough for me. I will admit, like, the first episode, I was like, oh, this is pretty dense. Like, I was actually like, am I following this? And so it took me a moment of adjustment. But then, like I said, I mean, that I'm like, well, yeah, give it to me. Like, I look forward to the next Pew Pew show just as much as anybody else. But like, I'm also excited about, like, oh, well, this looks to be, like I said, like some sort of like noir. And like, let's do it. Like, I'm into that too. So I'm really excited at the promise of this.
Well, speaking of, Brian, while we talk about new different directions, Darth Vader is going to lose a key aspect of his characterization, which is James Earl Jones himself will no longer be performing the character's voice.
But what is truly unique in 21st century about this is he still will.
Right.
Isn't that wild? I mean, and what we mean is James Earl Jones, who I believe is in his 90s, right?
He's 91.
I guess when he was recording lines for Rise of Skywalker, he said, he's looking to wind down this particular character. And I guess the quote that the person who was relaying the story said, "So how do we move forward?"
That's right.
So James Earl Jones was presented with this AI software called Respeecher, which basically can take all the things he's ever said as Vader, or maybe, excuse me, even just him, I would assume as an actor, but they can manufacture new dialogue with new emotion and inflection and whatnot. And James Earl Jones as Darth Vader can come up with new lines forever now due to this software.
Yeah. And he, like everything we heard of Vader in Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series, was done through Respeecher. It was not James Earl Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why it sounded more like 1970s Darth Vader.
Right, which we commented on in Rogue One, right, where he sounds older, which is understandable.
Right.
Yeah.
And so James Earl Jones heard it. He's like, "Yeah, right on."
Yeah, and I remember it sounded pretty good.
I mean, we can get it. This echoes what we talked about in our Rogue One commentary, like the ethics of it,
sure,
which are silky, let's say, if used improperly. But I think if the original performer or the performer's family is okay with it, I don't see a problem.
And he signed off on it, right? Like he officially said, "You have my blessing. I'm literally signing this over to you." And
he wants the character to live on, which I think is cool.
That is cool. Yeah.
And it beats getting a sound alike, in my opinion, because it's never going to sound 100% like James Earl Jones.
Isn't that so interesting, though? I mean, this is really the first time in entertainment history where something like this could happen. Like, we don't need another voice for Darth Vader. Like,
right. It's the equivalent of like when Mel Blanc died.
Right.
Just having just his voice lives on as Bugs Bunny forever with the computer,
Unimaginable when that happened.
Yeah, that's right. So, hey, maybe Vader could show up in Andor. You never know.
Yeah, right.
But as it happens, as we sit here recording this, my 13-year-old, he's playing Jedi Fallen Order right now.
Oh, cool.
He's getting quite far into that game.
I love that game.
And it occurs to me, I'm like, isn't it cool just how Star Wars, new generations find new ways to just live in that universe.
Yep.
Like we didn't have a game like that when we were kids.
Oh, no. I mean, I remember it was a big deal when the Super Nintendo games came out because they were resembled the movies.
That's right.
In a way that previous games. I mean, some people might disagree with me with the old Atari games, which I'm not as familiar with. But But yeah, no, I remember getting to play the movie and it was so exciting. And what's cool too is that, like you say, I mean, there's just more and more entry points now into the Star Wars universe where I'm like, of course, I'll begin with Luke and Han and Leia forever. But for, your kids, there might be them and equally as much other characters.
I say this all the time. I don't need any other Star Wars to be what the original trilogy is for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy to just have this other stuff out there, and some of it I'm going to like more, some of it I'm going to like less. But I know that my daughter, one of her favorite shirts is her Rey shirt.
Aw, that's awesome.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah. I love it.
Well, there we go. I think that's a good place to leave this discussion.
Agreed.
I'm glad we had a chance to catch up about this before you take off for Parts Unknown, aka Paris.
Yep. Paris, yep. And it made me think of that movie, that Not Okay movie, where she pretended like she was in Paris. It'd be funny if I started posting all these pictures, clearly of me in front of a green screen with a bagel in my hand, yum yum,
Well, if you do, if you are in fact faking this, I want you to keep the fakery going.
Okay.
Even when called out directly, I can see the blue screen technician behind you. Nope.
Yeah,
that's Eiffel Tower handler.
Yeah, it's not. It's like half its size, and like everything's all wrong.
Well, I want to thank everybody for listening. Thank you for all the questions, comments, and everything else that you send our way. Please keep those coming. As always, you can email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, and message us there. We appreciate it all, and sincerely, as we said earlier, it means the world. This is my birthday, as I said, and I'm remembering how 10 years ago, on my birthday, it never would have even occurred to me that for the next 10 years of my life, this would be just something that I look forward to doing regularly.
Amazing. I was actually just thinking, I mean, this will be going out this week, and then the week after I'll be returning. So we'll be recording a little later in the week. But I was like, I'm already like looking. We're in the middle of this one. I'm already looking forward to the next one.
It's going to be fun, and we got some fun commentaries planned to take us through the end of the year.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes and ears peeled for those. If you're looking for me online, you can find me on Twitter at Zaki's Corner. That's ZAKIS Corner. And as for Brian, his work is available.
I think I have a Puppy Dog Pals episode, a Halloween one coming out this weekend, I believe. And so that's a lot of fun, seeing those continue to drop. And I'm involved. Did you know this, by the way? I'm not allowed to say what I do on the Star Wars show I'm involved on.
Well, I want to hear
Jedi Adventures. And so we have said it in episodes, and I've cut it out because for the time being, I'm not allowed to say what it is. But I am involved, and that will be coming out spring 2023.
Well, there we go. Hopefully at some point, Brian will be able to talk about it more.
Yeah, I can't wait. There's exciting things. Even this week, exciting things were happening. I'm like, I want to talk about it so bad. But yeah.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
All in good time. Yeah. Also, just a reminder, if you like what we're doing, please leave a review, leave a star rating on Apple Music or wherever you listen to podcasts. Every little bit helps. And with that, on behalf of my partner, Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This has been Movie Film 254. Catch you next time.
Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Enjoy the show. Zaki